Hello everyone, and welcome to the Hidden Habits channel. Today we're exploring one of the greatest mysteries of modern neuroscience, the hidden battle between your conscious and unconscious mind. We'll uncover what scientists have discovered about how your brain makes decisions, how habits are formed, why your memories aren't as reliable as you think, how cognitive biases quietly influence your everyday choices, and whether free will is really as simple as it seems. Along the way, we'll look at real scientific research, fascinating neuroscience experiments, and the latest discoveries that are changing the way we understand the human mind. By the end of this documentary, you may never think about your own thoughts the same way again. So, if you're curious about the incredible science behind your mind, make sure to subscribe to the Hidden Habits, turn on notifications, and let's begin our journey into one of the most fascinating mysteries of the human brain. Now, let's begin. There is a strange moment that happens every single day. You reach for your phone, you unlock it, you open the same app, you begin scrolling. Minutes pass, then suddenly, almost as if you have just woken up, you ask yourself a simple question. Why am I even doing this? It's a question most people have asked at least once. But hidden inside that ordinary moment is one of the greatest mysteries of the human mind. Who made that decision? Was it really you? Or did something inside your brain make the choice long before you became aware of it? For thousands of years, philosophers believed that human beings were the masters of their own minds. Every decision, every belief, every action was thought to begin with conscious intention. But over the last century, neuroscience has uncovered evidence suggesting that the story may be far more complicated. Today, scientists know that the brain is constantly performing an astonishing number of operations without our awareness. While your conscious mind focuses on one conversation, one sentence, or one decision, billions of neurons are communicating in the background. Your heart keeps beating, your lungs continue breathing, your eyes constantly move, collecting information. Your ears filter thousands of sounds. Your brain predicts what you're about to see before you even see it. And somehow, you experience all of this as one seamless reality. But here's the shocking part. Your conscious awareness is only a tiny fraction of everything your brain is doing. Imagine standing in front of an enormous iceberg. Only a small piece rises above the surface of the ocean. Everything else, the overwhelming majority, remains hidden beneath the water. Many psychologists have used this image as a simple way to explain the relationship between conscious and unconscious mental processes. Although the brain is far more complex than an iceberg, the comparison captures an important idea. The part of your mind you're aware of may be much smaller than the hidden systems working beneath it. This hidden activity influences your emotions, your habits, your attention, your memories, and sometimes even your decisions, without asking for permission, without announcing itself, without you ever noticing. Think about the last time someone called your name in a crowded room. Hundreds of conversations surrounded you. Music was playing, people were laughing, plates were moving, doors were opening. Yet somehow, your brain immediately detected your own name, not because you consciously searched for it, but because hidden attention systems were already monitoring your surroundings. This happens every day. Your brain is constantly deciding what deserves your attention, long before your conscious mind notices anything. And that's only the beginning. Imagine driving home after work. You arrive in your driveway. You turn off the engine. Then suddenly, you realize you barely remember the drive. Did you ignore every traffic light? Of course not. You stayed in your lane. You slowed down when necessary. You avoided other vehicles. You followed familiar roads, yet your conscious mind was somewhere else, thinking about tomorrow, remembering yesterday, planning dinner. Your unconscious systems handled much of the driving automatically because the route had become deeply familiar. This isn't magic, it's efficiency. The brain is constantly searching for ways to save energy. If every tiny action required full conscious attention, walking would feel like solving a math problem. Talking would require endless calculations. Even picking up a glass of water would become exhausting. Instead, the brain transforms repeated behaviors into automatic patterns. Scientists call these patterns habits. Habits are one of the greatest achievements of the human brain. Without them, learning would never become mastery. Imagine if a professional pianist had to consciously think about every individual finger movement. The music would collapse. Instead, years of practice allow complex actions to become automatic. Athletes experience the same phenomenon. So do surgeons, pilots, artists, writers, and even ordinary people making breakfast every morning. Automatic behavior isn't the enemy. In many situations, it's the reason human beings can accomplish extraordinary things. But there is another side to this remarkable ability. The same system that builds good habits can also build destructive ones. The same unconscious brain that helps you learn a language can also teach you anxiety. It can teach fear. It can teach procrastination. It can teach addiction. And once those patterns become deeply established, breaking them can feel almost impossible. Not because you're weak, but because you're fighting a system designed to protect familiar behavior. The brain loves prediction. It loves routines. It prefers certainty over uncertainty, even when certainty is uncomfortable. Imagine two paths through a forest. One has been walked every day for years. The other is completely untouched. Which path is easier to follow? The same thing happens inside your brain. Every repeated thought strengthens certain neural pathways. Every repeated action makes those pathways slightly more efficient. Over time, the brain naturally prefers using familiar routes. That's why changing your life often feels so difficult. You're not only changing behavior, you're asking billions of neurons to build entirely new pathways while ignoring the old ones. And the brain doesn't enjoy unnecessary work. It always asks one question: can I solve this using an old pattern instead? Most of the time, the answer is yes, which means yesterday quietly becomes tomorrow. Again, and again, and again. Until one day you wake up wondering why your life hasn't changed. Yet perhaps the most fascinating discovery is this: your brain doesn't simply react to reality. It constantly predicts reality before it arrives. Think about what happens when someone throws a ball toward you. You don't stop to calculate its speed. You don't measure its angle. You don't solve equations inside your head. Yet somehow, your hand moves at exactly the right moment. For decades, scientists believed the brain simply reacted to information coming from the eyes. But modern neuroscience suggests something even more fascinating. Your brain is constantly trying to predict what will happen next. Every second, it builds an internal model of the world. It predicts where objects will move, what words people are about to say, how someone might react to your actions, even what you are about to see before your eyes fully process it. In many ways, reality reaches your consciousness only after your brain has already made its best prediction. Imagine watching your favorite movie. Thousands of individual images flash across the screen every minute, yet you never see separate pictures. You experience one smooth story. That's because your brain is constantly filling in the gaps, creating continuity where none actually exists. The same thing happens in everyday life. When you walk through your home in the dark, you already know where the furniture should be. When you hear your friend's voice over the phone, your brain instantly reconstructs their face. When someone finishes only half of a familiar sentence, you often know exactly what they're about to say. Prediction saves time. Prediction saves energy. Prediction keeps you alive. But prediction also creates one of the biggest weaknesses of the human mind, because sometimes the brain predicts incorrectly. And when that happens, reality becomes distorted. Have you ever searched everywhere for your phone, only to realize it was in your hand the entire time? Your eyes received the information, but your brain ignored it because it was following a different prediction. Psychologists call this inattentional blindness. When your attention focuses strongly on one thing, the brain can completely miss something that is directly in front of you. One of the most famous demonstrations involved people watching a short video. They were asked to count how many times a basketball was passed between players. Most participants concentrated intensely. They counted carefully. They believed they saw everything. But halfway through the video, a person wearing a gorilla suit walked directly across the scene, stopped, faced the camera, beat their chest, then calmly walked away. Remarkably, many viewers never noticed the gorilla at all, not because they were unintelligent, not because their eyesight was poor, but because the brain had decided this information isn't important. It simply filtered it out. Think about how extraordinary that is. Your brain isn't showing you reality exactly as it exists. It's showing you the version of reality it believes is most useful. That realization changes everything. Because if your brain edits reality, how much of what you experience is objective and how much is interpretation? Now consider another question. Why do two people witness the exact same event, yet remember it completely differently? Imagine two friends attending the same concert. Weeks later, one remembers the lights, the other remembers the music. One recalls excitement, the other remembers feeling anxious. Who is correct? Surprisingly, both may be, because memory is not a video recording stored inside your brain. Every time you remember an event, your brain actively reconstructs it. It pieces together details, emotions, expectations, and previous experiences to create what feels like a complete memory. This process is incredibly useful. Without it, learning would be almost impossible, but it also means memories can change, sometimes without you realizing it. Researchers have demonstrated that subtle suggestions can influence how people remember certain events. This doesn't mean all memories are false. Far from it, but it does remind us that memory is dynamic rather than perfectly fixed. Your mind is constantly rewriting tiny details as life moves forward. Now think about fear. Imagine walking through a forest. Suddenly, you notice something long and curved lying across the path. Your heart races. You jump backward. For a split second, your brain screams, "Snake." Then you look again. It's only a tree branch. Why did that happen? Because your unconscious brain evolved with one priority above all others: survival. Throughout human history, mistaking a stick for a snake was usually harmless. Mistaking a snake for a stick could be fatal. So evolution favored brains that reacted first and verified later. Even today, that ancient survival system still lives inside you. It constantly scans for danger, long before your conscious mind has time to analyze the situation. It's one reason horror movies work so well. Your conscious mind knows you're safe, but your unconscious survival system reacts anyway. Your heart beats faster, your muscles tense, your breathing changes. Not because you're irrational, but because millions of years of evolution shaped a brain designed to keep you alive. And this ancient system influences far more than fear. It quietly shapes trust, suspicion, confidence, embarrassment, attraction, even first impressions. In fact, some psychologists believe that people often form initial impressions within moments of meeting someone. Those impressions can influence later judgments, even though they aren't always accurate. Your conscious mind may believe it's making a careful decision, while your unconscious mind has already begun guiding the outcome. Which raises another uncomfortable question. If your unconscious mind is constantly influencing your thoughts, then who exactly is in control? And more importantly, can you ever truly take that control back? Imagine waking up tomorrow morning, before your eyes fully open, before you say a single word, before you're even aware that you're awake. Your brain has already begun working. It has started regulating your breathing, monitoring your heartbeat, checking your body temperature, estimating the light entering your room, preparing your muscles to move, predicting the sounds around you, and deciding which information deserves your attention first. All of this happens before the person you call you has consciously entered the day. That simple fact reveals something extraordinary. Your conscious mind is not the captain who controls every detail. It's more like the spokesperson. It explains your actions. It tells stories about your decisions. It gives meaning to your experiences. But much of the heavy work happens long before your awareness catches up. Think about how often you've said something like, "I just had a feeling," or "something didn't seem right." Most people dismiss these moments as intuition. But where does intuition come from? Scientists believe intuition isn't magic. It's the result of your brain processing thousands of tiny details outside your awareness. Every conversation you've ever had, every face you've ever seen, every mistake you've ever made, every success you've ever celebrated leaves small patterns inside your brain. Individually, these memories seem insignificant, but together, they become an enormous library of experience. When your unconscious mind detects a familiar pattern, it can produce a feeling before your conscious mind has enough information to explain it. That's why experienced firefighters sometimes leave a burning building seconds before it collapses. Not because they can predict the future, but because years of experience allow their brains to notice subtle warning signs too quickly for conscious reasoning. The room feels unusually quiet. The heat behaves differently. The fire moves in an unexpected way. Their unconscious mind connects these tiny clues almost instantly. Only afterward does conscious thinking begin to understand why. This remarkable ability isn't limited to experts. You've probably experienced it yourself. Have you ever met someone who seemed trustworthy within moments, or felt uncomfortable around someone even though they hadn't done anything obviously wrong? Sometimes those feelings are wrong. But sometimes, your brain has quietly recognized patterns that your conscious mind hasn't yet explained. That doesn't mean intuition is always correct. Far from it. Our unconscious mind can also be influenced by prejudice, emotion, incomplete information, and past experiences that no longer apply. This is why intuition should never replace evidence. Instead, it should invite curiosity. Whenever your mind whispers, something feels off, the best response isn't blind trust, nor complete rejection. It's investigation. Ask yourself, what might my brain have noticed that I haven't consciously understood yet? This simple question changes everything, because it transforms intuition from superstition into a starting point for critical thinking. Now consider another mystery. Have you ever wondered why breaking a bad habit feels like fighting yourself? You promise you'll wake up earlier. You decide to exercise. You swear you'll stop procrastinating. For a few days, everything goes well. Then suddenly, without fully understanding why, you return to the same old routine. Many people call this laziness. Others call it a lack of discipline. But neuroscience tells a more compassionate and more fascinating story. Your brain isn't trying to ruin your life, it's trying to save energy. Every repeated behavior creates stronger neural pathways. The more often you repeat an action, the more efficiently your brain performs it. Over time, habits become shortcuts. Instead of analyzing every situation from scratch, your brain simply says, "We've done this before, let's do it again." From an evolutionary perspective, this is incredibly useful. Imagine if your ancestors had to relearn how to make fire every morning, or relearn how to recognize dangerous animals every day. Human could never have advanced. Habits allowed knowledge to become automatic. Automatic behavior saved energy, and saved energy increased the chances of survival. But in the modern world, the same mechanism can trap us. Checking social media every few minutes, eating when we're stressed, avoiding difficult conversations, putting off important work until tomorrow. Each repetition strengthens the pathway, not because the habit is good, but because it's familiar. Your brain values familiarity more than perfection. This explains why change often feels uncomfortable. You're not just changing a routine, you're asking your brain to abandon a well-worn path and begin building an entirely new one. And building new pathways requires effort, patience, repetition, failure, then repetition again. Which brings us to one of the most hopeful discoveries in modern neuroscience. Your brain is not fixed. It is constantly changing. Every experience, every conversation, every book, every challenge, every skill you practice literally reshapes the connections inside your brain. Scientists call this neuroplasticity. It means the brain you have today does not have to be the brain you have 5 years from now. The person you become tomorrow begins with the patterns you repeat today. And that realization leads to perhaps the biggest question of all. If your brain can change itself, who decides which version of you it becomes? Part 2. The invisible traps controlling your decisions. If you could watch your own thoughts from the outside, you might discover something unsettling. Many of the choices you believe are completely logical are anything but. Imagine walking into a supermarket. You planned to buy only bread and milk. 20 minutes later, you leave with chocolate, chips, soft drinks, candles, a notebook you didn't need, and a plant you'll probably forget to water. What happened? Did you suddenly become irrational? Not exactly. Long before you entered the store, your brain had already begun responding to hundreds of invisible signals. The smell of freshly baked bread, the bright colors of product packaging, the slow background music, the placement of expensive items at eye level, even the width of the shopping aisles. None of these things force you to buy anything, but together, they quietly influence your decisions. Behavioral scientists have spent decades studying how our environment shapes our choices, often without us realizing it. Your brain loves shortcuts. Psychologists call these shortcuts heuristics. They're mental rules that allow us to make fast decisions without carefully analyzing every situation. Most of the time, they're incredibly useful. If you had to calculate every possible outcome before crossing the street, you'd never make it to the other side. Heuristics save time. They reduce mental effort. They help us survive. But they also create predictable mistakes. These mistakes are known as cognitive biases, and every human being has them, no matter how intelligent they are. Imagine flipping a coin. It lands on heads 10 times in a row. Now someone asks you to predict the next flip. Many people instinctively say, tails has to come next. It feels logical, but mathematically, the coin has no memory. Each flip is independent. This is called the gambler's fallacy. Your brain sees patterns even when no real pattern exists. That tendency helped our ancestors survive. Recognizing patterns in nature often meant finding food, avoiding danger, or predicting the weather. But in the modern world, the same ability sometimes tricks us into seeing connections that aren't really there. Now consider another bias. Imagine reading hundreds of comments online. 99 people praise your work. One person insults you. Hours later, which comment are you still thinking about? For most people, it's the negative one. This isn't weakness. It's something psychologists call the negativity bias. Our brains naturally pay more attention to threats than rewards. Thousands of years ago, ignoring one dangerous animal could be fatal. Ignoring one beautiful sunset had no survival cost. So evolution built brains that remember danger more strongly than comfort. Even today, that ancient survival system remains active. It quietly shapes your emotions, your memories, even your confidence. This is why criticism often hurts more than praise feels good, and why fear spreads faster than hope. Now imagine you're reading the news. 2 headlines appear on your screen. The first says, "Scientists discover a breakthrough that could improve millions of lives." The second says, "A mysterious disease is spreading across the world." Which headline grabs your attention first? For most people, it's the second one. Not because they enjoy bad news, but because their brain was designed to notice potential danger before potential comfort. This ancient survival mechanism once protected our ancestors from predators, harsh weather, and hidden threats. Today, the dangers have changed, but the brain hasn't changed nearly as fast. Social media companies understand this remarkably well. News organizations understand it. Advertisers understand it. Every day, thousands of headlines compete for one thing: your attention. Because attention is one of the most valuable resources in the modern world. And your brain wasn't designed to defend itself against millions of carefully engineered distractions. Every notification, every vibration, every flashing red icon activates systems inside your brain that evolved long before smartphones existed. One notification seems harmless, then another arrives, then another. Eventually, without even realizing it, you've spent an hour scrolling through information you never intended to see. People often blame themselves. I have no self-control. I'm lazy. I'm addicted. But the reality is more complicated. Modern technology is interacting with reward systems that evolved over hundreds of thousands of years. One of the most important of these systems involves a chemical messenger called dopamine. Many people describe dopamine as the pleasure chemical, but neuroscientists now understand that description is incomplete. Dopamine isn't simply about pleasure. It's deeply involved in motivation, learning, and anticipating rewards. Imagine buying a lottery ticket. You haven't won anything yet, but your brain begins imagining the possibility. That anticipation alone can activate dopamine pathways. The same thing happens every time you refresh social media. Maybe someone liked your post. Maybe a new message arrived. Maybe there's exciting news. Maybe there isn't. Your brain doesn't know, and that's exactly what makes it so powerful. The uncertainty keeps you checking again and again and again. Psychologists call this variable reward. Instead of receiving a reward every time, you receive it unpredictably. Interestingly, this kind of unpredictable reward has been shown to strongly influence behavior in many settings. The next scroll might reveal something funny, or shocking, or inspiring, or nothing at all. But your brain keeps hoping, and hope can become a habit. Over time, many behaviors stop feeling like conscious choices. They become automatic routines. Not because your brain is weak, but because it is extraordinarily efficient. Now let's look at another illusion. Imagine you're having an argument. Halfway through the conversation, someone presents clear evidence proving you are wrong. What happens next? Do you immediately change your opinion? Sometimes, but often the opposite happens. You defend your original belief even more strongly. Why? Because your brain doesn't only protect your body, it also protects your identity. Many beliefs become connected to who we think we are. When those beliefs are challenged, it can feel as though we are being challenged. Psychologists have long studied a tendency called confirmation bias. It's our habit of noticing information that supports what we already believe, while paying less attention to information that contradicts it. This doesn't mean people are dishonest. It means our brains naturally look for consistency. Imagine wearing blue-tinted glasses your entire life. Everything you see would appear slightly blue. Eventually, you'd stop noticing the glasses altogether. Beliefs can work the same way. They become invisible filters through which we interpret reality. Two people can witness the exact same event, read the same article, watch the same documentary, and walk away with completely different conclusions. Not because the facts changed, but because their mental filters were different. This is why curiosity is so powerful. Curiosity asks, what if I'm missing something? That single question can overcome biases that certainty never can. And perhaps that's one of the greatest strengths of science itself. Science isn't built on always being right. It's built on being willing to discover when you're wrong. That mindset has transformed our understanding of the universe, of medicine, of technology, and even of the human mind itself. But despite everything we've learned, one mystery remains. If your memories can change, if your attention can be manipulated, if your habits can take control, and if your beliefs are filtered through unconscious biases, then how much of your daily life is actually under conscious control? The answer may be even stranger than you imagine. Now imagine this. You wake up tomorrow, and every memory you've ever had, every success, every heartbreak, every childhood experience, every lesson you've ever learned, has quietly disappeared. Would you still be the same person? Most people would say no, because memory doesn't simply help us remember the past, it creates our identity. Every experience leaves tiny physical changes inside your brain, not like files stored inside a computer, but as billions of connections between neurons. These connections are constantly changing, strengthening, weakening, reorganizing. Your brain is never truly finished. It is continuously rewriting itself. This is one of the most extraordinary discoveries in modern neuroscience. Scientists call this neuroplasticity. For much of history, people believed the adult brain became fixed. They thought that after childhood, the brain stopped changing. Today, we know that isn't true. Although change becomes more difficult with age, the brain remains capable of adapting throughout life. Every new language you learn, every instrument you practice, every meaningful conversation, every challenge you overcome, leaves its mark. Even your thoughts can influence the structure of your brain over time. This doesn't mean positive thinking can magically solve every problem. Life is far more complex than that. But repeated mental habits do influence how certain neural pathways become stronger than others. The brain becomes more efficient at doing what it practices most. If it repeatedly practices curiosity, curiosity becomes easier. If it repeatedly practices gratitude, gratitude becomes more natural. If it repeatedly practices fear, fear can become the brain's default response. The brain is always learning. The only question is, what is it learning from? Now consider one final illusion. Have you ever driven to work, only to realize you remember almost nothing about the journey? You obeyed traffic lights, avoided accidents, turned at the correct streets, yet your conscious mind seemed somewhere else entirely. This phenomenon reminds us that much of everyday life runs on deeply learned patterns. Automatic behavior isn't a flaw, it's one of the brain's greatest achievements. But problems arise when automatic habits begin leading us somewhere we never intended to go. One unnecessary scroll becomes an hour. One postponed task becomes a month. One unhealthy habit becomes a lifestyle, not through a single dramatic decision, but through thousands of tiny automatic choices. This is why meaningful change rarely happens overnight. Your brain isn't just changing behavior, it's rebuilding pathways that may have existed for years. That process takes patience, consistency, and repetition. There is no shortcut around it, but there is hope. Every time you pause before reacting, every time you question an assumption, every time you replace an old habit with a better one, you are slowly teaching your brain a different way to operate. At first, the new path feels uncomfortable, then familiar, then automatic. The same brain that created your habits can also create new ones. The same unconscious mind that once worked against you can eventually begin working for you. Perhaps that is the greatest lesson neuroscience has taught us. You are not trapped by the brain you have today. You are constantly shaping the brain you'll have tomorrow. And yet, one mystery still remains unsolved. If your brain can predict your actions, influence your emotions, rewrite your memories, and silently guide your decisions, then who or what is the you experiencing all of this? Is consciousness the true decision maker? Or is it simply the storyteller trying to make sense of choices that have already begun? Scientists continue searching for the answer. Some believe consciousness plays a central role in guiding behavior. Others argue it may be only one part of a much larger system. The truth is, we still don't fully understand how subjective experience emerges from billions of neurons working together. And perhaps that is the most fascinating discovery of all. The greatest mystery in the universe may not be hidden among distant galaxies or inside black holes. It may be the 3 pounds of living tissue resting quietly inside your own skull. Every thought you've ever had, every dream you've ever imagined, every person you've ever loved, every fear you've ever faced has existed within that extraordinary organ. The brain spends every second trying to understand reality, but maybe its greatest challenge is understanding itself. Part 3. Can you take back control? For thousands of years, humanity searched for monsters in the darkness. We feared creatures hiding in forests, unknown civilizations beyond the mountains, invisible forces in the sky. But today, science has revealed something even more fascinating. The greatest mystery isn't hiding somewhere far away. It's sitting quietly inside your own head. A universe of nearly 86 billion neurons, connected through hundreds of trillions of synapses, creating every memory you've ever held, every dream you've ever imagined, every fear you've ever faced. Yet despite centuries of research, scientists still cannot fully answer one simple question. How does consciousness actually emerge? How does ordinary biological tissue become awareness itself? How do electrical signals become the feeling of happiness, the pain of loss, or the experience of simply being alive? Perhaps the greatest scientific mystery isn't the origin of the universe, it's the origin of you. But while science continues searching for those answers, it has already discovered something extraordinary. Your brain is not finished. Not at 18, not at 30, not at 60. Every single day, it is quietly rebuilding itself. For much of the 20th century, Many scientists believed the adult brain was mostly fixed. They thought childhood determined almost everything. After that, the brain could only slowly decline. But that idea turned out to be incomplete. Today, modern neuroscience paints a far more hopeful picture. Your brain is constantly changing. Every conversation you have, every skill you practice, every mistake you learn from, every book you read, every challenge you overcome, leaves tiny physical changes inside your nervous system. Scientists call this remarkable ability neuroplasticity. It simply means the brain can reorganize itself. It can strengthen old pathways, weaken unused ones, and build entirely new connections. Imagine standing in the middle of a vast forest. At first, there are no paths. Every direction is covered with thick trees. Now imagine walking the same route every single day. After a week, the grass begins to flatten. After a month, a narrow trail appears. After a year, the trail becomes the easiest way through the forest. Your brain works in a surprisingly similar way. Every repeated thought, every repeated emotion, every repeated behavior strengthens certain neural pathways. The more often those pathways are used, the more efficient they become. This explains something almost everyone has experienced. The first time you drove a car, every movement demanded your full attention. Checking the mirrors, controlling the steering wheel, watching traffic, pressing the pedals. It felt overwhelming. But months later, much of that process became automatic. The same transformation happens when learning a language, playing an instrument, or developing any habit. Repetition changes the brain. And here's the extraordinary part. The exact same principle applies to your thoughts. If you repeatedly focus on problems, your brain becomes better at finding problems. If you repeatedly practice gratitude, your brain becomes quicker at noticing positive experiences. This doesn't mean life suddenly becomes perfect. Reality doesn't change overnight. But your perception of reality can, because your brain learns what it practices. Think about professional athletes. Before major competitions, many spend time visualizing their performance. They mentally rehearse every movement, every turn, every jump, every successful outcome. Why? Because brain imaging studies suggest that mentally rehearsing certain actions can activate some of the same brain regions involved in performing them. Visualization alone cannot replace physical practice, but combined with training, it can improve learning and performance. Your brain often responds to vivid imagination more strongly than most people realize, which raises an important question. If your brain is always learning, then what exactly are you teaching it every day? Every notification, every late-night scroll, every unnecessary comparison, every repeated excuse, every moment of curiosity, every page of a good book, every meaningful conversation, every difficult challenge is becoming part of the person you'll be tomorrow, whether you notice it or not. That realization changes everything, because suddenly, your future isn't built by one massive decision. It's built by thousands of tiny moments, repeated every single day. And perhaps that's the most powerful discovery hidden inside the human mind. Imagine that two people are born on the exact same day. They grow up in the same city, attend the same school, read the same books. Yet 20 years later, they become completely different people. Why? The answer isn't found in a single life-changing moment. It's found in thousands of invisible moments that no one notices. Every conversation, every habit, every fear, every opportunity accepted, every opportunity ignored, quietly reshapes the brain. Think of your mind as a sculptor. Every thought is another strike of the chisel. Most strikes seem too small to matter, but after years of repetition, a completely different sculpture begins to appear. This is why scientists often say that the brain is shaped by experience. Experience is not just something that happens to you, it becomes part of you. Now think about attention. Right now, as you're listening to this documentary, millions of things are competing for your attention. Your phone may vibrate, a notification may appear, someone may call your name, a distant sound may interrupt you. Every second, your brain decides what deserves your focus. And here's something remarkable. Your attention shapes your reality. You cannot consciously experience everything around you, so whatever receives your attention becomes your world. If your attention is constantly pulled toward outrage, the world begins to look frightening. If it's constantly pulled toward comparison, the world begins to feel unfair. If it's constantly pulled toward learning, the world becomes full of possibilities. Your brain is always asking one silent question: what should I become better at noticing? Whatever you repeatedly pay attention to, the brain assumes it must be important. Then it builds stronger pathways around it. This is one reason habits are so powerful. They don't only change what you do, they change what you notice. A musician hears details in a song that most people never notice. A photographer sees light and composition in an ordinary street. A chess grandmaster recognizes patterns invisible to beginners. Their eyes are the same. Their brains are different. Years of focused attention changed what their minds automatically detect. Now imagine applying that same principle to your own life. What if every day, instead of feeding your mind random information, you deliberately trained it? What if you practiced curiosity instead of certainty, patience instead of impulsiveness, deep focus instead of endless distraction? Slowly, almost invisibly, your brain would begin adapting to those patterns, not because of motivation, but because adaptation is what brains do. Perhaps this is where real freedom begins, not in controlling every thought that appears, because no one can do that, but in choosing which thoughts deserve your attention. You cannot stop birds from flying over your head, but you can stop them from building a nest there. Your mind works in much the same way. Thoughts appear automatically. Some are helpful, some are irrational, some are simply echoes of old experiences. You don't always choose the first thought, but you often influence what happens next. That realization has changed modern psychology. Researchers increasingly emphasize that awareness itself can create space between an automatic impulse and a deliberate response. That tiny space, lasting only a second, may be one of the most powerful abilities the human mind possesses. Because inside that brief moment, habit meets choice, emotion meets reason, the past meets the future. And for perhaps the first time, you become an active participant in shaping who you are becoming. But this leads us back to the mystery that began our journey. If the unconscious mind is always working, if habits quietly guide behavior, if attention shapes reality, if memories are constantly reconstructed, then what exactly is consciousness for? Scientists still don't fully agree. Some believe consciousness helps us plan for the future. Others think it allows us to simulate different possibilities before acting. Some even argue that consciousness is what enables humans to cooperate, tell stories, and build civilizations. The truth is, we still don't know, and maybe that's the most exciting part, because every generation uncovers answers that once seemed impossible. Only a century ago, we knew almost nothing about neurons. Today, we can watch living brain activity in real time. Who knows what humanity will discover in the next 100 years? Maybe one day, we'll finally understand how awareness emerges from the brain. Or maybe we'll discover that consciousness is even stranger than we ever imagined. Take one last moment and simply look around you. Everything you can see, the colors, the sounds, the people you love, the dreams you're chasing, even these very words, exist for you because of one extraordinary organ. A brain weighing only about 3 pounds, soft enough to be damaged by a simple injury, yet powerful enough to imagine galaxies billions of light years away. It can compose symphonies, solve mathematical equations, build civilizations, create artificial intelligence, and wonder about its own existence. Perhaps nothing else in the known universe is quite like it. And yet, for all its brilliance, your brain has one fascinating limitation. It can spend an entire lifetime trying to understand the universe while still struggling to understand itself. Every decision you've ever made, every friendship you've built, every mistake you've regretted, every goal you've achieved, has passed through this incredible network of billions of neurons. Some of those decisions were carefully planned. Others happened almost automatically. Some were driven by reason. others by emotion. Some were shaped by experiences you clearly remember, others by memories you've long forgotten. That doesn't mean your life is controlled by an invisible force, and it doesn't mean free will has been proven to be an illusion. The truth is more honest, and perhaps even more fascinating. Science is still searching. Researchers continue debating how consciousness, unconscious processing, and decision-making work together. Every new discovery answers one question, only to uncover 10 more. That's the beauty of science. It isn't afraid to say, "We don't know yet," because every great discovery in history began with curiosity, not certainty. Maybe that's the lesson hidden inside your own mind. The goal isn't to control every thought. No human can do that. The goal is to become aware of the thoughts that quietly control you, to notice the habits you've stopped questioning, to recognize the fears you've accepted as facts, to challenge assumptions your brain built years ago, and to remember that every day your brain is learning from the life you repeatedly give it. Every conversation, every video, every book, every hour you spend online, every person you choose to become, your future brain is being built right now. One thought at a time, one decision at a time, one habit at a time. So the next time you instinctively reach for your phone, react in anger, or tell yourself, "This is just who I am," pause just for a second and ask yourself one simple question. Did I choose this? Or did an old habit choose it for me? Because that single question may be the beginning of a completely different life. Perhaps the greatest battle you'll ever fight won't be against another person. It won't be against the world. It won't even be against time. It will be the silent battle between the person your unconscious mind has trained you to become and the person you consciously choose to become. The universe is filled with mysteries, black holes, dark matter, the beginning of time, the possibility of life beyond Earth. But after everything science has discovered, one mystery remains closer than all of them. The mind that is listening to these words right now. And maybe the greatest adventure of your life isn't exploring the universe. It's exploring yourself. Thanks for watching.